Happy Friday and welcome to Bookish Talk at the Bookish Club. Our tagline is Write Your Story. Why? Well, if you don't write your own story, who will? And what will it be? Always better if you write it yourself. At the Bookish Club, we pride ourselves on enlightening our Prime members on the varieties of book genres and libraries, encouraging you to read dissimilar genres and empowering you with stories of writers and authors who've paved the way for us to write our fiction or non-fiction book. In our Writers and Authors Corner, we've invited Joy Willett, who is the author of the book, I Am Joy and So Are You, 19 Authentic Ways to Uncover and Elevate Your Natural Happiness, and Denise Marsh. She's the author of the book, Do It For Your Selfie, a guide to loving yourself, redesigning your life, and getting aligned from within. So we're going to have a lot of joy and love from our two authors today, Joy Willett and Denise Marsh. They're going to enlighten, encourage, and empower us to write our own stories. For our new Bookish members, my name is CJ Grace. I'm the author of two humorous self-help books, Adulterer's Wife, How to Thrive Whether You Stay or Not, and my comic memoir, My Wild Ride, How to Thrive After Breast Cancer and Infidelity. And yes, you can thrive after breast cancer and infidelity. I'm streaming live from Maui, Hawaii, and I'm honored to be joined by Liz Luckett. She's an author and CEO of Expressly Speaking, streaming live from Wisconsin. So Liz, well, how has your week been?
My week has been phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal week. We, a nonprofit that I volunteer for, we just were awarded an award to help veterans around, you guessed it, mental health. So that's my high for the week.
Wow. And how are we actually honoring Mental Health Awareness Month?
Well, as you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. The mission is to address the many challenges that face the millions of people around the world living with mental health conditions. And it's prevalent. We know that it touches everyone's family, right? And we have to talk about it. So throughout the month, organizations actively participate in this national movement, dedicated to eradicating stigmas, that's huge, extending support, fostering public education, and advocating for policies that prioritize the well-being of individuals affected by mental illness. Listen to this report. A report from the CDC reported that 1 billion people suffer from mental disorders worldwide. Worldwide. Think about that and let that sink in. So the Bookish Club will do our part to amplify the voices of individuals who suffer in silence by sharing stories of people like Nobel Prize-winning author Ernest Hemingway. Everyone's heard of Ernest Hemingway, right? But did you know he struggled with severe severe problems, I'm going to skip that word, and severe paranoid depression? Did you know that? He was found dead on July 2nd, 1961, of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So, in honor of his legacy, let's watch this video biography of Ernest.
Ernest Hemingway was one of the most important writers of the 20th century.
He revolutionized the idea of what an American author was, and he was a bigger celebrity in his day and age than we could probably conceive of now. He was the Lady Gaga of his era.
Ernest Miller Hemingway was born in Oak Park, Illinois on July 21st, 1899.
As a young man, Hemingway worked on his school newspaper, and then on graduation, instead of going to college, he went directly to work on newspapers in Kansas City. That background in journalism had a lot to do with his later literary style.
Ernest Hemingway's writing style was significant because he was so brief and seemingly straightforward. Whereas other writers were writing very long sentences, Hemingway came in and stamped on them with his short little sentences, like army boots.
During World War I, Hemingway served as an ambulance driver and then moved to Paris, where he wrote his first novel, The Sun Also Rises, in 1926.
Paris was this amazing confluence of literary talent where you had Hemingway, James Joyce, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Gertrude Stein, T.S. Eliot, and Hemingway immediately impressed all of them, especially Fitzgerald, who brought Hemingway's manuscript, The Sun Also Rises, to his publisher, Charles Scribner. If it hadn't been for Fitzgerald, Hemingway might not be a household name now.
Hemingway's 1929 second novel, A Farewell to Arms, was based on his World War I experiences and was a big success. His personal life, however, was often stormy.
Hemingway had this pathological thing where as soon as he married one woman, he fell in love with another one, usually a much younger one. And this happened over and over.
Ernest Hemingway was married 4 times. With his first wife, Hadley, they had a son, John. With his second wife, Pauline, he had 2 sons, Patrick and Gregory. He was then married to the journalist Martha Gellhorn, and then finally to Mary Welsh.
Hemingway continued to live up to his reputation as a fearless physical writer, as he served as a newspaper war correspondent during the Spanish Civil War and World War II.
In 1951, Ernest Hemingway won the Pulitzer Prize for The Old Man and the Sea.
Hemingway was further honored 3 years later with a Nobel Prize in Literature.
In Ernest Hemingway's later life, he fought depression, anxiety, probably mental illness.
Hemingway suffered from alcoholism, suffered from an ongoing battle with inner demons in his life.
It started to take an intense mental toll. He would have beer and gin for breakfast, and after a while he was no longer a functional alcoholic. His ability to write was gone, and he felt that that was his essence as a human being. That was his point for being on Earth.
Hemingway committed suicide when finally he found that all the virtues that he most valued, self-control and productivity, had come to an end. It was better to go out than simply to flounder on.
Ernest Hemingway died on July 2nd, 1961.
Hemingway's greatest work may have been his life, the life that he lived. He took being a writer from being someone who just sat in a room to someone who not just gobbled up life, but made a show of it.
Wow. You know, mental health is a very real issue. It's not like a broken bone where you can see it. It's something that sometimes goes unseen. So if you're out there and you're suffering, please don't suffer alone. Please don't suffer in silence. Get the help that you need. We do need to eradicate those stigmas, CJ. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And there's so many things in our environment today that actually worsen your mental health condition. Some pharmaceutical drugs do that, and people don't realize it till they've gone off them. Even antidepressants, but those are very, very hard to get off without very good help to taper off slowly. But antidepressants can actually make you feel homicidal and suicidal, and they're supposed to make you feel better, but sometimes they don't. I've heard that the weight loss drug can make you feel create mental health issues. So can even contraceptives. And then, depending on your diet, some highly processed food can increase your risk of depression. And most people aren't even aware of all of that. And there's so many things assailing us in our environment that can actually worsen our mental health condition. And yet, there are things you can do, like, for example, outdoor exercise. Exercise in particular, I've seen studies that have shown exercise to be a more effective antidepressant than any pharmaceutical. So those are interesting developments, I think, in that field. But it affects, as you said, so many people. And you shouldn't suffer in silence. So there's usually something that you can do about it.
I agree. Get the support of your family, talk to somebody, but don't suffer in silence. And you're not alone. You'd be surprised. So if you're out there listening, please take advantage of this month to get your mental health together. Because just like when your bone is broken, you fix it, you do the same for your mind. It is okay to not be okay until you are. So get the help that you need. So CJ, we're going to pivot a little bit. And I absolutely love this part of the show. So I have to ask you this, CJ, what innovative library are we visiting that was built on a Dutch National Railways shed in the Netherlands?
Yes, it's an amazing building. We're going to be visiting Lokaal Library in Tilburg in the Netherlands. And it's a world-class library, as you said, in a former locomotive shed of the Dutch National Railways. How could you make a space like that look so amazing? They definitely have done the architects were geniuses, I think. The library is a space for both young and old to learn and read and study, meet and gather. And you've got a color palette of reds and oranges to bring up a warm atmosphere. And then there's a city cafe featuring a bar with red, brown and gold ceramic tiles. And they're crowned with a neon Lokaal logo. And what's really cool is that the old tracks from the locomotive shed, they do remain visible in the concrete floor, and they're used to move 3 large wheeled train tables. So they're tables, but it's as if they're like trains. And a single table might become, say, the extension of the bar when it's combined with another table, it could form a stage. And then by fitting the columns from the original building with wooden tables and lighting, they're given a new lease of life as places for reading and studying. And then it's like an indoor street, in effect, flanked by bookcases and more inviting bookshop-style display units. And then you've got a fairy tale theme park as the source of inspiration for the children's library. And here you've got bookcases that take on the form of colored pencils or rulers. And so children can walk through giant fairy tale books or read at tables shaped like mobile phones. Oh dear, I suppose that is our society. Everybody loves their mobile phones. Or they can listen to storytelling sessions while lying on an open book. Or they can maybe read an open book when lying on an open book. What a great environment. And then in that children's center, they've got these backless seats that have letters in the form of fairy tale animals. So it's helping the children learn their alphabet at the same time. So in this book street, you've got books checked in and out. And the bookcase wall on the office side has a transparent display case for works of art and unique books. And then on the second floor, they've got a learning lab. It's a big stage built from old books. Wow, that's an interesting idea. They're stacked in different heights and topped with an oak counter. And then in a meetup lecture or performance, you can sit on the wide oak stairway, which connects the second and third floor. And it's got a really open character, the whole space, which invites visitors to connect and discuss with each other during book presentations and debates. So let's take a virtual tour of this pretty unique library.
Let's do it.
Nieuwe moderne diep, dan hangt gelijk een hele andere nieuwe sfeer. Omdat er ook van alles te doen is en er is leven. Het is echt een zo groot verschil met wat het was.
Dit is het moment. Het moment waar je geeft dit aan de mensen. En de mensen zijn de nieuwe gebruikers, bewoners van het gebouw.
Je merkt hier ook dat het heel laagdrempelig is. Dat het echt uitnodigend is naar iedereen.
Het is belangrijk dat er een openbare publieke plek is in de stad waar iedereen terecht kan.
En dan kom je binnen in de bibliotheek, aan die kant. Zie je eerst het stadscafé en dan zie je 3 tafels achter elkaar en denk wauw, dat is de plek waar je kan zitten.
Lokaal is een groot open gebouw, een oude loods waar locomotieven in werden gerepareerd. En in dat gebouw is een open trappenlandschap gemaakt.
En eigenlijk hoe hoger je gaat, wordt het meer specifiek. Of blijf je misschien ook langer in het gebouw, kan ik me voorstellen.
Maar de contact met het publiek is meer dichtbij, dus wordt meer persoonlijker. Meer groepen, meer culturen die bij elkaar komen.
Maar ook de samenwerking met Seeds to Meet, de samenwerking met culturele instellingen, dat zit ook in dit gebouw. En ik denk dat dat ook zo voelt voor mensen die hier binnenkomen. Het is letterlijk een overdekte publieke ruimte, waar je heel makkelijk naar binnen gaat, ook nog blijft hangen. En je ziet het hier gebeuren. En waar je natuurlijk nog steeds boeken leest en waar je heel graag met je kinderen heen gaat.
En het is een goed voorbeeld voor wat moet de toekomst de bibliotheken zijn. Als ik hier binnenkom, krijg ik meteen een gevoel van om de boek te pakken en aan tafel te zitten en beginnen te lezen.
Ik denk dat dit een unieke bibliotheek in de wereld is, zou ik wel willen zeggen. En die is echt heel goed bedacht, heel goed geprogrammeerd door de stad. En ook bedacht om dat hier naast het station te zetten.
Well, I'm going to use a Dutch word to describe my view of that library. And that word is wow.
Wow.
Did you know it's the same in both languages? Because people on there, they said wow to describe the library.
Yes.
Same in English. So that was Lokaal Library in Tilburg, Holland. If you are in Tilburg, take a look at that amazing, amazing library.
Yes.
And actually, Tilburg is an interesting town because in the 17th century, it had so many sheep that it became known as the wool capital of Holland. And it is now the 6th largest city in the Netherlands with 3 universities. So it's well worth visiting. So Liz, tell us, who is our bookish author of the week?
Well, absolutely. So in Coming Home, WNBA star Brittany Griner shares the harrowing details of arrest before Russia invaded Ukraine. Her bewilderment and isolation while navigating a foreign legal system amid her trial and sentencing, her emotional and physical anguish as an American woman enduring a Russian penal colony. She takes us on a journey through the #WeAreBG movement that rallied for her release, the chilling prisoner swap with Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout, and her remarkable rise from hostage to global spokeswoman on behalf of America's Forgotten. Brittany takes her readers inside the horrors of a geopolitical nightmare spanning 10 months. Coming Home is more than her journey from captivity to freedom. She shares how her deep love for Sherelle, her college sweetheart and wife of 6 years, anchored her during their greatest storm, and how her family support pulled her back from the brink, and how hundreds of letters from friends and neighbors led to her resolve to keep fighting. Coming Home is both a story of survival and a testament to love, the bonds that brought Brittany home to her family and at last to herself. CJ, is this a memoir that you will put on your reading list?
It sounds like a really interesting book to read. What a story. Oh my goodness.
I can't even imagine it. I just can't. But yeah, I think I will add it to my list. So what book genre are we exploring in the Writer's Corner?
So we're reviewing the genre of short stories. So for our members that aren't familiar with this book genre, a short story is a work of prose fiction that can be read in one sitting, usually between 20 minutes to an hour. And there's really no maximum length, but the average short story is about 1,000 to 7,500 words, with some outliers reaching 10,000 or 15,000 words. Once it gets to 22 to 25,000, that's considered a novella, a short novel. So let's watch this short video about short stories. I will have to say, though, that short stories don't always have to be about negative acts and criminal things and tortuous feelings, as you might have got from the soundtrack to that video. You can actually write a short story about happy stuff if you want. But some very good pointers in there on some of the essences of a short story, because since it's so short, you just have to get everything in there really quickly. Characterization, plot line. You can't take your time. You've just got to get it and get the people doing whatever they're supposed to do in the story and getting to the denouement very quickly. So let's talk about somebody who was a master short storyteller as well as being a master novelist. Who better than Samuel Langhorne Clemens? Who was he? Well, he was known by the pen name Mark Twain. We all know about Mark Twain. And he was a great American short story writer, as well as a humorist and essayist. He was praised as the greatest humorist in the United States, with William Faulkner calling him the father of American literature.
Oh, I love Mark Twain. So when we come back from break, we will meet Joy Willett. So that's who we're going to meet. During our break, we will hear best-selling author Stephen King talk about the art of writing short stories. Bookish is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. TWN provides the media training, coaching, and mentoring to produce your franchise show. Visit our website for more information. We'll be back.
Well, we're sitting here with Stephen King, author most recently of Just After Sunset, which is a collection of short stories. You write an introduction in the book which talks about the fact that short stories are sort of an art form that not everybody and not a lot of writers tackle anymore, and that you mentioned is something that you can sort of lose your touch.
It's the kind of thing where I think a lot of writers who sell a fair number of copies and can support themselves with their writing, and we're very fortunate to be able to do that, have a tendency to think of the novel. And once you get your mind set on the novel, it's very easy to lose whatever trick it is that involves writing the short story. There's a metaphor in the introduction where I said that I could imagine some craftsman from the Middle Ages forgetting how to make Toledo steel and just looking sort of sadly at a botched job and saying, I really used to remember how to make this stuff. And I think too that the novel is a quagmire that a lot of younger writers stumble into before they're ready to go there. So that there was a piece in maybe PW or one of the magazines, magazines associated with writing and publishing a couple of weeks ago, where the columnist said, there is some, I know, it was in the Boston Globe, where this lady said, enumerated a number of great short story writers who have not written any short stories for a while, and you ask them why, and the same reason is given time after time. Well, I'm writing a novel. And so
Wow, I love Stephen King. And so good to hear his story about writing. So we're going to pivot a little bit. So welcome to the Writer's Corner at the Bookish Club. Our mission is to enlighten, encourage, and empower our Bookish members to begin the process of writing their fiction or nonfiction book. The process can even start by choosing a title to inspire you to begin writing today. We are excited to have at the Writer's Corner Joy Willett, author, speaker, certified trainer of NLP, hypnosis, and timeline therapy. So I'm going to ask her later on to tell us what NLP is, because I don't know. But Joy specializes in guiding people to reconnect with their inner wisdom and achieve success. Oh, I love that. Her book, I Am Joy, and So Are You. I love that title. 19 Authentic Ways to Uncover and Elevate Your Natural Happiness, delivers practical and inspirational insights for transformation. She is a co-author of the new best-selling anthology, The Wild Life, Success stories from rule breakers, outliers, and trendsetters. These titles, I have to say, are amazing. Joy is driven by her own experience with mental health within her family. Her mission is to demystify the complexities of the mind and heart, empowering us to take control of our lives. Welcome to the Writers Corner at Bookish Club, Joy. I'm so excited.
I am too. Thank you, ladies. This is a big thrill to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Great, and it's great to have you. So what is NLP, before I get to my first question? What does that stand for?
It stands for, it's a good question, Neuro Linguistic Programming. And it's about, I think, Tony Robbins, right? Everyone knows Tony and how he gets on the stage and stands up in front of someone and does this. And suddenly they are feeling, acting, being different, right? So it's about the neurology in our brain using linguistics to actually change the programming, which is running all of our shows, right? Our subconscious mind and our programming is what is driving us. It's actually running us at about, they say now, 97%. So.
Oh, wow. I'm glad I asked that question. I know a lot of people out there were wondering as well. So, Joy, in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month, tell us about your mental health story and how you use it to demystify it for others.
All right. Well, thank you for asking. I am a twin, a fraternal twin. And about, I'm going to say, I don't want to date myself too much, but of course, it's a gift to be able to live long, right? My twin sister had a nervous breakdown when we were around 22, 23. And she was really incapacitated for about 18 years. And she is on medications, and she was able to get back to herself, have a beautiful life, got married, has a grown son who's going on for his PhD in different arenas. And yet, and she's in my book. She is in my book, and she gave me permission to talk about her story because her story is a triumphant story. So yes, I know about mental illness. At that point, my very best friend left me. And I know for anyone that's had somebody in their family or dear friends, and everyone has, it can be very devastating. So I pursued a path after that going, what can I do to make sure I'm going to be okay, right? And also, what does this mean? How do we lose control in ourselves about our minds and our hearts? And what can we do about it? So I went down the path of learning about the mind, the unconscious mind, the conscious mind. I also know I'm certified in the superconscious. And it was fascinating to me about how, about that, what we were talking about, that the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind is running. It's where all our programs are, our limiting beliefs, our memories, how we store time. It's fascinating stuff. And I went to explore it. And I'm now a trainer after decades of this exploration in hypnosis, NLP, timeline therapy, working with people's timelines so they can let go of trauma, PTSD. It's being used in with wounded warriors. You're talking, Liz, about working with the veterans. That's my passion. I have a passion project working with that. So we'll talk at some point. And because those are the ones, first responders. And anyway, so it's a big topic and therefore one that really does need to be destigmatized because there are some ways that we can also, like you were talking about, both of you ladies, how you can keep your emotions and your mind, your mental state balanced. There's a lot of different ways. And that's why I did write the book, because it does have clues about how to raise and your natural happiness. But it is, it's something that really everyone should be learning in schools and talked about. And thankfully, we're in a world now where it is being discussed, and especially on shows like here. Thank you.
It's a great title. I Am Joy and So Are You, 19 Authentic Ways to Uncover and Elevate Your Natural Happiness. So how did you affirm your own natural happiness in the process of writing that book?
Well, it's really about, I had to think about, how do I personally elevate myself, right? And what are the ways that we can, as human beings, living in communities, connection, all of this. And ironically, the book was published and finished just during that COVID time, which we have had some very dramatic times on our planet here, to be dealing with mental and emotional health for many reasons. So it was about how we can actually elevate, and working. I do a lot of referencing to David Hawkins, the scale or the map of consciousness, and that working with the frequencies that the emotions have. And this has been studied and talked about, but it's fascinating. Again, I encourage the readers here and everyone, get curious about things in life. Get curious.
Yeah.
Follow your
NLP is a really big deal in so many ways. I know most politicians train in NLP because they use it as a tool to persuade the listeners to vote for them. So it can have a lot of just like any useful tool, it can be used to persuade you to do something that you want to do. It can also be used to persuade you to do something that you might not otherwise have done. But I'm wondering, if you write a story about what's happened to you and your family, a lot of people fear doing that because of the impact it might have on family and friends. So how did you deal with any outside pressures to be able to talk about the ways that you had to reclaim your own joy?
Well, first of all, if you do have someone who has gone through a mental health experience, get their permission or the permission of those who are the guardians of them, that it's okay to share your story, or keep it in a very, let's say, more looser framework. I've had, as I said, my sister is in my forward. I thank her. I've said to her, let's, at some point I see us both going on stage together, because she has a victory story of overcoming this. Not everyone does. Not everyone does. And a lot of people do suffer. So I think we were talking about destigmatizing mental health. It affects, it's not just mental, it's emotional, it's mental, and it affects the physical body.
It does.
We are affected. Yes. Go
so
ahead.
Joy, we'd love for you to read a 1-minute passage or so from your book later in the show. We're looking forward to that. And we also have a Facebook group called Thriving Women TV. So viewers, if you have a question or comment for Joy, do join us there and post a comment. Over to you, Liz.
Oh, absolutely. This is a fascinating topic. We can go for hours on this. But so during our break, we're going to hear from John Dufresne, hope I said it right, writer and professor, on tips on how to get started writing a short story and how to know when you're on the right track. Bookish is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. TWN provides immediate training, coaching, and mentoring to produce your franchise show. Visit our website to learn more. We'll be right back.
How to write a story, right? Okay. It's a mess. It's chaotic. You got to understand that before you do it. You don't sit down and say once upon a time, and then 2 hours later, and they all lived happily ever after. In fact, you never use those words in fiction because nobody lives forever after, and so the happy part is gone too. It's all like there's a sadness at the center of our existence, which fiction writers acknowledge, and that is that we die. and everything we love vanishes. We can't hold on to anything, and so that's a given. So that's a sadness at the center of our life. But the nobility at the center of our lives is that we face that sadness and we go right on trying to hold on to everything that we love and go on falling in love again and all that sort of thing. And cherishing life and honoring it and giving praise to the world around us. And we, those of us who write do it by writing stories about it. So the first thing you do if you want to write a story is sit your ass in the chair. You sit down and you do it, and you pick up a pen and you got a blank piece of paper, or you sit down at a blank screen and you set off. I usually start with a character that's in my head, I imagine, who's somehow intriguing to me. Something about this character is intriguing. It could be the way he looks, it could be something he said, it could be the house he lives in, whatever. So I start with a character and I give that character some trouble. And the plot has to come out of the desires, wishes, behaviors, motivations of the characters. They drive the plot. There's a moment in every story when your character does something that you didn't expect him to do, or says something that you didn't expect her to say. And that's the moment you're writing for, because that's when you now have like a human being at work on the page. You freed your imagination, in other words, and your imagination has taken over, and that the critic is not at the table anymore. You'll re-engage the critic later on when you're reading it over and trying to assess what's working and what's not working. But for right now, the creative part of you, the intuitive and imaginative part of you is taken over. People have a romantic notion about writers that the muse comes in and you write, you're inspired and then you write, but they've got it absolutely wrong. You write and then you are inspired. It doesn't happen the other way. And if there were a muse, that muse would only come to the writing desk, would not be at the football game with you, tailgating, or would not be, at the party. The muse comes to the desk. If you're not there, too bad.
Writer and Professor John Dufresne, and I think his muse was his cat, don't you?
Yes.
So, welcome to the Author's Corner Bookish Club. Here we are, and our mission is to enlighten, encourage, and empower our members to begin the process of writing their story by inviting authors to share their writing journey from first draft to publishing their novel or nonfiction story. And we're very excited to have Denise Marsh. She's a speaker, author of the book, Do It For Your Selfie. Great title, Do It For Your Selfie, a guide to loving yourself, redesigning your life, and getting aligned from within. And Denise is also a transformational mindset coach, retreat host, inspirational speaker, and the host of the podcast Getting Raw with Denise. That's in capitals, R-A-W, Getting Raw with Denise. And she's the founder of Redesign and Align from Within. Her mission is to guide womenpreneurs to prioritize their dreams and desires by increasing inner healing, self-friendship, and spiritual self-awareness. So, Denise, welcome to the Author's Corner at Bookish Club. It's wonderful to have you.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, Denise, in honor of the Mental Health Awareness Month, do you have a mental health story that you would like to share that you use as a gift to help women find that self-friendship and self-awareness?
Yes. And first, I want to say thank you both for having me. I'm really excited to be on this platform and to share part of my journey, and especially in light of this month being about mental health awareness. And so, yes, I have many stories, but to keep it short, in the past, I actually dealt with severe anxiety and depression for quite some time. And it was so bad that I felt that was just going to be part of who I am for the rest of my life, and I felt it was part of my identity. I felt it was going to affect every part of my being because that's what it truly felt like. So I can really relate to people who are feeling challenged with depression and anxiety because it is a real thing. And thankfully, I was able to move through all of that. And so I no longer suffer from depression or anxiety, and it is a journey. However, so many people feel that when they're in that space, there's so much shame around it. People don't want to talk about it. They feel that if they even mention the word anxiety or depression, people will look at them in a different way, which is true. It's not right, but it can be true. However, I want to take this moment to say that for anyone who is feeling that they have that struggle with anxiety or depression, don't feel ashamed. Don't feel that you have to hide from that. And please don't believe that that has to be your story for the rest of your life, because it doesn't have to be.
And what inspired those retreats and the Raw podcast? If I'm pronouncing it correctly, is it RAW podcast or Raw
It
podcast?
is. So it's short for the name of my company, which is Redesign and Align from Within, and we call it Raw. So getting raw from within. And so what actually inspired, long story short, how the retreats came to be is because I actually had a vision about me doing retreats when I was about 10 years old. And I told my mother that I know what I'm going to do when I get older. I'm going to have sleepovers for women where they will leave happier and healthier. And fast forward, that is actually what I'm doing. So I host retreats. I also work with women one-on-one on their inner being and inner health and mental health journey. But one of my favorite ways to help support and serve women are through my retreats. And so I do that in Florida, and I also do that abroad.
So what inspired that title? It's a great title. Do It For Yourselfie, a guide to loving yourself, redesigning your life, and getting aligned from within.
I love a play on words, love having fun with just shifting the way we look at a word. And selfie, that's a big thing, right? Taking a selfie, you gotta take a selfie everywhere you go. And so I wanted to play on that word. The book has nothing to do with taking a picture of yourself. It's actually about everything that is from within. So the book is broken into 6 chapters: self-worth, self-confidence, self-validation, self-satisfaction, self-image, and self-love. And I go into detail about what these words truly mean, because they've been lost. The meaning has been lost in translation. There are so many people who feel like, oh, I love myself, I know my worth, but their actions are not matching up. They actually don't know the real true meaning of what these words mean. And so where there's been so much emphasis for a good amount of people, where they are truly obsessed, focused on the outer appearance, right? And well, if my outside appearance and the way my life looks, if that looks all right, then everything is good. And that's far from the truth.
It's not
It's
true.
about what's happening on the inside. And so Do It For Yourselfie is the play on, hey, let's take the word selfie and talk about the importance of the inner self and how we're able to enhance these parts of our lives, how we're able to recognize our worth, how we're able to understand what self-validation really is, and how we are able to live a self-satisfaction type of life.
Oh,
So
wow.
Liz, I think you have some questions too.
I do. I'm so enjoying this topic, Denise. And so, people fear writing their story because of the impact we talked about a little bit earlier that's going to have on family and friends. How did you deal with the outside pressure to publish your book?
That is a great question. I'm so glad you asked that question. I felt no pressure, honestly. And the only reason why I can say that with the utmost confidence is because I first had to be okay with it. And now if I'm okay with it, actually nothing else really is going to impact that, right? And so it's getting to that place of I'm at peace with what I'm sharing.
Yeah.
I understand that some of the things that I may share may make people uncomfortable, but that's okay, because when we are triggered and when we're uncomfortable, that's an opportunity for us to say, hey, why is this uncomfortable for me? Why am I triggered by this? That's where true healing can begin. So there was no pressure for me sharing certain things, because I knew I was at peace with it. And I knew that what I was sharing, I was doing this on an intentional basis. I wanted to write this book to truly help other people, where people didn't feel alone, because so many people feel alone in their thoughts. They feel that they're the only ones experiencing these things. And so I was okay with putting it all out there, and also helping this, where people feel like they're being guided in a non-judgmental way. And so for that alone, it was worth it for me to have this book be out there in the world.
I love that. What lessons did you learn? Just a couple of tidbits on some lessons you learned in writing your first draft, editing, and choosing a publishing method.
Couple of tips is that writing is not for the weak. Okay. It is a journey. Okay. You can take that however you want. It's a journey. But also I continued to go through healing as I was writing. There were things that were really heavy that did not impact me as much as I thought they might, and things that I didn't feel would impact me that did. So it was also a time for me to continue the healing through writing the book.
I love it. I love that. I know when I was writing my book, I would say instead of me writing the book was writing me. So, so I love so that's when I was writing my book. But we would love for you to read from your book after the break. And those that are listening, if you have a question or a comment for Denise, please join our Facebook group, Thriving Women TV. During our break, we will hear a short story on honesty. Remember, Bookish Talk is sponsored by the Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. TWN provides the media training, coaching, and mentoring to produce your franchise show. Visit our website to learn more at www.thrivingnetwork.com.
So there was once a farmer who, each week, sold a pound of butter to a baker. After several weeks of buying a pound of butter from the farmer, the baker decided to weigh the butter that he was receiving to ensure it was indeed a full pound. When the baker weighed it, he learned that the butter was under a pound, which enraged him. He felt he was being cheated, and he decided to take the farmer to court. When in court, the judge asked the farmer how he was weighing the butter. The farmer said, "Your Honor, I am poor. I do not own an exact measuring tool. However, I do have a scale." The judge then asked if the farmer used the scale to measure the butter. And the farmer said, "Your Honor, I have been buying 1 pound loaf of bread from the baker since long before he began purchasing butter from me. Whenever the baker brings bread for me, I put it on the scale and then measure out the same weight in butter to give him in return. So if the baker is not getting a pound of butter, he is also not giving a pound of bread as he promised." You see, in life, in your life, the law is simple. You get what you give. If you try to cheat others, you will get cheated yourself in return. As a wise man once said, you can fool everyone, your parents, your friends, the state, but you cannot fool yourself. And the more honest you are, the easier it will be to trust other people. This is Dare to Do Motivation Stories. Thank you so much for watching, and stay blessed.
Welcome to the Author's Corner at Bookish Club, and our mission is to enlighten, encourage, and empower our members to begin the process of writing their story by inviting authors to share their writing journey from first draft to publishing their fiction or non-fiction story. And our second guest today is Denise. Denise, sorry, I'm not correct here, but Denise, you're going to be showing us a wonderful 1-minute section from your book. We've got Denise and Joy, and they're going to be supporting our mission. This is the section where they read from their books, and it's wonderful to sit back and hear them read. So Denise, why don't you start? You tell us what you're going to read and why you've chosen that particular passage.
Yes, so I will be reading a short passage from the chapter on self-satisfaction. And I chose this passage and this chapter in lieu of this being Mental Health Awareness Month, but also because we're talking about living a life that's fulfilled. And we don't talk about self-satisfaction enough. And so I chose this intentionally, feeling this would be something that can impact and help someone today.
So let's hear it. And just tell us the title again. It's Do It For Yourselfie, A Guide to Loving Yourself, Redesigning Your Life, and Getting Aligned from Within.
Yes, that is the title of the book. And this is from the self-satisfaction chapter. It seems to be the norm for a lot of people to make it appear that everything in their life looks good on the outside, when on the inside, they are unhappy, depressed, anxious, unfulfilled, or feeling like they're dying. It's like putting a beautiful new outfit on the guy from that 90s show, Tales from the Crypt. You're basically covering up something you feel is hideous and scary. Wanting to feel satisfied and fulfilled in our lives is not a bad thing. It is actually a beautiful and honorable way to show appreciation for the life you get to live each and every day. Why the heck would you not want to be satisfied with this one known life you are living? That's what's been happening to so many people. It happened to me. If your happiness is tied to an outcome, you won't ever find long-term satisfaction because you'll always chase the next milestone, the next pay increase, the next fitness goal, the next award, the next relationship, and the next social media hype. The moment you hit the finish line, you will experience a temporary high and then set out for the next thing that will supposedly make you happy. Even though chasing goals can be a fun part of your life, self-satisfaction is not meant to be a goal. Self-satisfaction is meant to be a sustainable and stable part of your life.
Beautiful. So Denise, if people want to get your book, how do they do it?
Oh, great question. You can find my book on any online retailer, so Target.com, BooksandNoble.com, Amazon. And if you would like a signed copy of my book, you can just go on my website, which is denisemarsh.net.
Thank you so much. denisemarsh.net. Make sure you visit that website.
Yes.
And now we're going to go over to Joy Willett. And she wrote the book, I Am Joy and So Are You, 19 Authentic Ways to Uncover and Elevate Your Natural Happiness. So Joy, what passage are you going to read? And tell us why you've chosen that particular passage.
Okay. I had one passage at the very end of the book and I went, no, I'm zipping over to the very beginning of the book. This is from the introduction. And my chapters are all about the different ways that you can elevate joy in your life. But this is from my intro. So this will give you a little, I think, some glimmerings about what joy is, at least what it means to me. Joy is about your mindset, how you view the world and your place in it, how you engage with challenges in life, and what sorts of thoughts and perspectives shape your day-to-day experiences. Joy is about your heart set, how you feel, the love you experience and share, as well as your relationships with others, from friends and family to coworkers and acquaintances. And joy is about your soul set, your deep connection to the mystery that transcends you, whether you call that God or the universe or destiny or anything else. You see, joy is a full person experience, the total package. And that's the kind of life you deserve. And I'm here to help guide you there. And guess what? When you're living a life of joy, it shows up in your results too. Whether you're connecting joyfully with people in your professional life, your career thrives. When you're bringing joy into your romantic relationships, passion comes alive and sparks sizzle. When you're taking life ungrounded in joy, you start seeing challenges as opportunities to grow and excel. So growth, excellence, and all the success that comes with it begin to pour in. Now, I'm not saying that the world magically becomes perfect or that there won't be any more difficulties in your life. I'm saying that this path will empower you to manifest transformation in your life and the world like never before, and it will give you the tools you need to overcome anything that you face. And I'm writing this book to provide you with the light showing the way.
And Joy, if somebody wants to get your book, how do they get it?
Well, you can get the e-version, the Kindle version, on Amazon.com, and it will be I Am Joy and So Are You by Joy Willett. If you want to get the paperback or the hardcover, go to my website and be in touch with me. It is joydwillett.com, and that's where you'll get a signed copy and delivered to you.
So it's Joy D. Willett, WILLET.com.
E-T-T. E-T-T. Yeah.
E-T-T. Yeah, let's get the spelling right so people find you. Okay.
Just like there. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we've had two great guests today, Denise Marsh, Do It For Yourselfie, a guide to loving yourself, redesigning your life, and getting aligned from within. And Joy Willett, I Am Joy and So Are You, 19 Authentic Ways to Uncover and Elevate Your Natural Happiness. Thank you, ladies, for being on the show today. And if you do have any additional questions or comments for Denise or Joy, we encourage you to join our private Facebook group, Thriving Women TV, so you can find their books on Amazon. Bookish is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. And if you want to produce a franchise show on E360 TV, TWN provides the media training, coaching, and mentoring to do just that. Visit our website, thrivingwomennetwork.com, to find out more. We'll be back after the break.
In lush green village lived a young boy named Liam. Liam was known throughout the village for his honesty and integrity. He believed that honesty was the best policy, and he always strived to be truthful in every situation. One day, as Liam was walking through the village market, he noticed a shiny coin on the ground. He picked it up and examined it closely. It was a gold coin, glimmering in the sunlight. Liam's heart raced with excitement, but he quickly realized that the coin must belong to someone else. He decided to inquire among the villagers if anyone had lost a gold coin. Liam approached a group of villagers and asked, "Excuse me, has anyone here lost a gold coin?" The villagers exchanged puzzled glances and shook their heads. No one claimed the coin. Liam's honesty compelled him to take the coin to the village elder, an elderly woman named Eliza, who was known for her wisdom. "Good day, young Liam," Eliza greeted him with a warm smile. "What brings you to me today?" Liam held out the gold coin and explained, "I found this on the ground in the market, but no one seems to have lost it. I thought you might know what to do." Eliza studied the coin and nodded appreciatively. "You have a good heart, Liam. Your honesty will serve you well in life. Hold on to this coin for now, and if no one claims it, we shall use it for the betterment of the village." Weeks went by, and no one came forward to claim the gold coin. Liam continued with his daily routines, tending to his family's farm and helping his neighbors. The villagers admired his integrity and looked up to him as an example of virtue. One evening, as the sun was setting and casting a warm glow over the village, a stranger arrived. He was a traveler who had lost his way and had been wandering for days. Tired and hungry, he approached Liam, who was watering the fields. "Excuse me, young man," the traveler said with a weary smile. "I've been lost for days and have nothing left. Could you spare a coin for some food?" Liam's heart went out to the stranger. Remembering the gold coin he had found, he reached into his pocket and retrieved it. "Here, take this coin. It should help you find food and shelter." The traveler's eyes widened in surprise as he accepted the coin. "Thank you, kind soul. You've saved me from hunger." Liam watched as the traveler walked away, his heart filled with a sense of fulfillment. He knew that his honesty and generosity had made a positive impact on someone's life. The village elder, Eliza, witnessed the exchange from a distance and nodded approvingly. Years later, Liam had grown into a respected young man in the village. His reputation for honesty had only grown stronger, and he had become known as the embodiment of virtue. The village prospered under his influence, and the memory of the gold coin's journey remained a reminder of the power of honesty and compassion. And so, the tale of Liam's unwavering honesty was passed down through generations, inspiring villagers to embrace the values of integrity and kindness. In a world often clouded by deception, Liam's story continued to shine as a beacon of light, teaching everyone that honesty was indeed the best policy.
Well, welcome back to Bookish Club. So those were two short stories that we had today, and we want to thank today's guest authors, Denise Marsh and Joy Willett. Thank you for coming on the show. And don't forget, you can support the Bookish Club by joining our new Facebook group, Thriving Women TV, and post a question or comment about today's episode. And you can watch this and previous episodes on our website or on E360 TV, and you can listen to the episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So,
Absolutely.
Over to you, Liz.
Oh, absolutely. We hope that something was said that enlightened you to begin the process of writing your story, encourage you to read books outside your genre, and empower you to overcome your fears and begin writing your legacy story. Bookish is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. If you want to produce a franchise show on E360 TV, TWN provides media training, coaching, and mentoring. Visit our website.
And we'll be back next week with more Bookish Talk. So do tune in then.